stealth games, whether that is Hitman, Dishonored, Splinter Cell or Deus Ex, we all love them. मुझे भी ये सारे गेम्स बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं, लेकिन मैं स्टेल्थ गेम्स का उतना बड़ा फैन नहीं हूँ, is what I would have said अगर मैंने पहले मेटल गियर गेम्स नहीं खेले होते तो. These games have more style than Instagram influencers, and if not, definitely more style than this guy. किसने बोला इस आदमी को to do that to your hair? It looks so bad. और इस वीडियो में मैं बात करूंगा about the style of Metal Gear Solid. मैं जानता हूँ लोग ये गेम्स नहीं खेलते बिकॉज देर लाइक भाई ये गेम्स शुरू कहाँ से होते हैं और ख़त्म किधर होते हैं. डोंट वरी, ये वीडियो में आई विल एक्सप्लेन एवरीथिंग. हो सकता है आपको स्टेल्थ गेम्स पसंद ना आते हो, बट मेटल गियर गेम्स ऐसे है ना, लाइक इफ़ यू एन्जॉय वीडियो गेम्स विच आई नो यू गाइज डू, देर इज़ नो वे यू वोंट लाइक द मेटल गियर गेम्स. एंड आई कैन प्रॉमिस यू बाई द एंड ऑफ द वीडियो आपको ये आइकॉनिक सीरीज खेलने का मन पक्का कर जाएगा. सो लेट्स टॉक अबाउट. अगर आप रेगुलरली शॉर्ट्स या रील्स देखते हो, आई एम 100% श्योर आपने ये साउंड इफेक्ट तो पक्का सुना होगा. ये साउंड इफेक्ट का ओरिजिन पता है कहाँ से है? ऐसे ही यू हैव बीन एक्सपीरियंसिंग सो मेनी एलिमेंट्स ऑफ मेटल गियर गेम्स विदाउट इवन नोइंग अबाउट इट. These games are known for breaking the fourth wall and directly communicating with the player. For example, जब Metal Gear Solid 2 में Raiden gets a call from the colonel.
Raiden, turn the game console off right now.
What did you say?
It's a game just like usual.
You'll ruin your eyes playing so close to the TV.
What are you talking about? My role? Why do you keep saying that?
Why not? This is a type of role-playing game.
नहीं कर्नल, it's a stealth game.
Stealth.
Yes, Nick, stealth, something that you're supposed to be an expert in. Another great example of breaking the fourth wall can be seen in Metal Gear Solid. There is a boss in this game called Psycho Mantis, जो अपनी psychic powers दिखाने के लिए आपके save files पढ़ता है. और अगर आपने अपने playthrough में बहुत बार save किया है, he calls you out on it.
You have saved often. You are a prudent person.
और एक्चुअल बॉस फाइट के टाइम ही रेगुलरली ब्लैक्स आउट योर स्क्रीन एंड ड्यूरिंग द बॉस फाइट ही कैन रीड ऑल योर मूव्स. आप कुछ भी करो, यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू डैमेज हिम. और उसे हराने के लिए, एंड हियर इज द बेस्ट पार्ट, माई फेवरेट पार्ट, you need to disconnect your controller from the PlayStation and plug it in a different port so that he stops reading your moves. देखा Metal Gear का स्टाइल. Metal Gear games are the brainchild of Hideo Kojima. और जैसे मैं पहले बहुत बार बोल चुका हूँ, playing a Hideo Kojima game is a lot like watching Chris Nolan's movie for the first time. आपको कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा कि क्या हो रहा है, बट यू विल स्टिल कीप वॉचिंग और प्लेइंग, क्योंकि आपके अंदर ऐसी फीलिंग आएगी कि मैंने पहले कभी ऐसा कोई गेम या मूवी देखी ही नहीं है. मेटल गियर सॉलिड 1 1998 पे PlayStation 1 पे रिलीज हुआ था, एंड फॉर इट्स टाइम इट वाज अ ग्राफिकल अचीवमेंट. आई नो अभी देख के ऐसा लगता नहीं है, बट इट इज़ ट्रू. और अगर आप अभी भी MGS1 खेलने जाओगे, आपको लगेगा ही नहीं कि ये गेम 27 ईयर्स पहले आया था. ऐसा लगेगा कि दिस गेम केम आउट 10 और 11 ईयर्स अगो. हर एक मेटल गियर गेम is groundbreaking in its own way. This man and his super talented team have earned the title of being the best game devs in the business. I know within a few years Metal Gear Solid 1 will be 30 years old, but man, the game still feels so fresh and original.
How did you recognize me in disguise?
I never forget a lady.
So there's something you like about me, huh?
Yeah, you've got a great butt.
I mean, it is still a 1998 game. Now, since we are talking about butts, one thing that I love about Metal Gear games is that how they equally sexualize everyone. In the age where video games are super focused on doing it to females, now I admit Metal Gear does that too, but it also does it to the males as well. So it is a win-win for everyone.
Steak. I don't think I'll ever understand you two.
Ooh, got room for two?
Also, there is a lot of uncomfortable crotch grabbing in this game. I do not know why.
I've been waiting for you in my room.
I mean, गेम बीच बीच में creepy भी हो जाता है. Like, why is Snake, a mid-30s man, going out with a 16-year-old girl? I don't know, man. Japanese people are into some weird shit. Imagine this, आप कोई गेम के एंड तक पहुंचते हो एंड देन अब फाइनली वक्त आ जाता है फाइनल बॉस से लड़ने का. द स्टेज इज सेट, यू आर रेडी टू फाइट द बॉस. यू स्टार्ट फाइटिंग द बॉस एंड देन रैंडमली देखा मेटल गियर का स्टाइल. मेटल गियर सॉलिड 2 सन्स ऑफ लिबर्टी इज इजीली माई फेवरेट मेटल गियर इन द सीरीज. और उसके पीछे मेरे बहुत सारे रीजंस हैं. जैसे इस गेम की स्टोरी होल्ड्स ट्रू नाउ मोर देन एवर. It revolves around AI, censorship of information, and how it affects us. And you know what is the best thing about this game? Back in 2001, during its initial release date, fans absolutely hated this game because you spend 90% of the game time playing as this new guy, Raiden. Imagine आप इतना अच्छा फर्स्ट गेम बनाते हो कि लोगों को आपका प्रोटैगनिस्ट इतना पसंद आ जाता है और फिर जब सेकंड गेम रिलीज करते हो, ये लो, play as this new guy. Meanwhile, your favorite guy will keep coming and going every now and then. Now that's what you call balls of steel. और अब रही बात Metal Gear Solid 2 के गेम प्ले की. 10 out of 10. आप जब Metal Gear Solid 2 खेलोगे ऐसा लगेगा कि ये गेम अभी रिलीज हुआ है. Metal Gear was truly moving in a league of its own. There are very few other competitors that come close, but not to this level. And ऐसा नहीं है कि इस गेम का पूरा गेम प्ले is very super serious, dark and heavy. No. This game has its own very claiming and funny moments as well.
Those building up their own Metal Gear force will think in the light of the military affairs. This will be reduced by the completion of especially those with submarine and whale. Always bear that in mind. Ours is not the only military project devoted to Metal Gear development, but it cannot be more difficult.
Snake, respond! Snake?
There are a lot of these funny moments in these games to keep you hooked. While the story is super serious and heavy, the game relies on gameplay to have a bit of fun. All these Metal Gear games are filled with so many tiny details. See that? This is a PS2 2001 game.
I'm going to go in my pants. Nobody's looking, right?
Raiden, my sympathies.
Worry about it, Jack. It's okay.
Hose?
That is, as long as you take a shower the second you get back.
देखा Metal Gear का style. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is known to be the best one in the entire series. So this Metal Gear getting a remake does not surprise me at all. Metal Gear Solid 3 से ही पूरे Metal Gear games की कहानी शुरू होती है. ये गेम technically first part है and man is it an incredible game and definitely the most stylish Metal Gear game. MGS3 is the greatest James Bond game that was never a James Bond game. This game is the definition of what tactical espionage games are about. I mean, ये game का खुद का James Bond theme song भी है. Not for honor, but for you. And my time. Yeah, don't listen to me singing it, but it's actually very good. Like, do you know how good a game needs to be to make something as trivial as climbing a 2-minute long ladder iconic? And मुझे ये इतना funny लगता है जब भी आप Elden Ring में कोई भी लंबी ladder use करते हो, at the end of the ladder there will be a Metal Gear Solid 3 joke written on it. 100%. And I also love the boss fights in this game. For example, इस game में there is a boss called The End. Now the thing about The End is that he's like this veteran and super talented, super good sniper rifle, but his only catch is that he's like super old. So अगर आप उससे लड़ने जाते हो and while you're fighting the boss, somehow चलो आपको हो गया कि आपको game quit करना पड़ा थोड़े time के लिए for like 2-3 days. कभी कभी होता है कि काम आ जाता है, you have other engagements, so you don't get the time to play the game. So if that does happen with you while fighting The End, तो जब आप गेम पे वापस आते हो, you'll see that the End has died due to natural causes because he's that old.
Major, I found the End. He's dead.
What the hell happened?
Maybe it was from old age.
देखा Metal Gear का style. This is Ocelot, one of the most important and iconic characters in the series. And the thing that I love about Ocelot or Shalashaska is that No, not that. For example, in the Mission Impossible series, one of the most iconic things is Tom Cruise doing that mask off wala stunt. Similarly, in Metal Gear Solid, one of the most iconic things in this series is done by Ocelot, and that is Ocelot is a reverse front stabbing triple agent spy. Ocelot switches side way more than your friend does while playing FIFA. लेकिन चलता है because Ocelot is super cool.
Shots.
ऐसे सीन्स देख के समझ में आता है वाई कोजिमा लव्स बॉलीवुड एक्शन मूवीज. ऐसे कितने सारे सीन्स हैं इस गेम में जो देख के आपको लगेगा कि ये तो अगली सलमान खान की पिक्चर में भी हो सकता है यार. Since I am talking about action, this video would be incomplete if I do not talk about CQC, Close Quartered Combat. नाम खुद ही एक्सप्लेन कर देता है ये किस चीज़ के बारे में है. मेरा फेवरेट वाला इज इन मेटल गियर सॉलिड 5 विद वेनम स्नेक एंड क्वाइट.
Stop this! Now!
लेकिन सबसे आइकॉनिक वाला इज इन मेटल गियर सॉलिड 4. If you know, you know. And I must also praise the character designs in these games. And of course, a lot of credit goes to this man, जिसका नाम मैं पक्का खराब pronounce करने वाला हूँ, Yoji Shinkawa. Super talented artist, but man are the character designs in these games so good. Snake, Raiden, Ocelot, Snake, Eva, Quiet, Snake, Otacon, Snake, another Otacon, Snake, Kaz, Boss, Volgin, Vamp, Fortune, Meryl, Strangelove, Chico, Paz, and Snake. एक कॉमन चीज़ जो मेटल गियर गेम्स के बारे में सब बोलते हैं इज दैट दीज गेम्स आर एसेंशियली मूवीज. नाउ देयर इज सम ट्रूथ टू दैट फॉर श्योर. Fun fact, Metal Gear Solid 4 still holds the world record for the longest cutscene in a video game. पता है कितने मिनट? 70 मिनट. सिर्फ 70 मिनट. But hey, I'm not complaining because as a person who loves movies and video games a little too much, I find these games perfect for me. Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriot is essentially a movie with some gameplay in between. लेकिन फिर भी लोग बोलते हैं कि Metal Gear Solid 4 is their favorite game in the series. The only downside with this game is that this game is locked on the PlayStation 3. It's a PlayStation 3 exclusive. There is no other way to play MGS4. It can't run on a PlayStation 4, can't run on a PlayStation 5, and definitely cannot run on an Xbox or a PC. There is no other way to play or well watch this masterpiece. Tell me how this is a 2008 PS3 game. It looks so good. Hey listen, if you're one of those lucky few who still have a PlayStation 3 in a running condition, do not miss out on this game because you do not want to miss the opportunity of seeing Mr. Hideo Kojima put their favorite protagonist in a long ass microwave. देखा Metal Gear का style. Now that I've talked about the longest Metal Gear game, let me tell you about the shortest Metal Gear game. Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. पता है कितना रन टाइम है? Only 2 hours. So now you're thinking, I can afford to miss out on this game, right? Nope. The same reason. The gameplay is phenomenal. The gameplay is so good. The runtime might be only 2 hours, but the amount of side quests and the things that you can do, you can easily spend 15-20 hours playing this game, which is essentially supposed to have only a 2-hour runtime. Now here's the catch with Ground Zeroes. Ground Zeroes is supposed to be kind of like a teaser for one of the greatest Metal Gear games that was ever released. And that is... literally all the Metal Gear games come together to give one of the greatest games ever made. This is the Metal Gear game you have to play. Controlling Snake in this game feels, and I do not have a better word to describe this, orgasmic. इतना अच्छा और इतना रिस्पॉन्सिव गेम प्ले आई डोंट थिंक आज तक कोई गेम में आया है. एंड दिस गेम इज 10 years old. Fox Engine is truly a thing of beauty. मैं चाहूँ तो ये गेम पे 1 घंटे का सेपरेट वीडियो बना सकता हूँ. There is so much to talk about in this game. Now if you've been chronically online for a long time, just like me, you 100% must have definitely come across the meme, why are we still here? Just to suffer.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer. Every night, I can feel my leg and my arm.
Yup, that is from this game. And yes, that one hot female character is also from this game. But the most stylish part about this game is the gameplay. YouTube पे इतने सारे videos हैं लोगों के playing this game in ways I could never dream of playing. This game's gameplay has a lot of depth, but it does not take long to string a few things together and have fun. Phantom Pain खेलते टाइम आप कितने बार सोचोगे, no way this will work, right? And then it does work. Curiosity and creativity is your best friend in this game. Like you know a game is good when Kojima adds himself to the game.
What took you so long?
Phantom Pain is the only open world Metal Gear game and it is so well made. Like usually open world games में time fast forward करने के लिए save करना पड़ता है. And here is how Phantom Pain does it.
Enemy presence on some will set shortly.
देखा Metal Gear का style. Phantom Pain was the final entry in the Metal Gear Solid series before Kojima and Konami went their separate ways. And ऐसा लगता है कि Kojima को पता था ये उसकी final entry होगी on a series he has been working on since the 80s. और क्या ही फाइनल गिफ्ट देके गया है मेटल गियर फैंस को. एंड टू थिंक यू कैन गेट दिस मास्टरपीस ऑफ अ गेम फॉर ₹450 और समथिंग अराउंड दैट ऑन स्टीम. दैट इज क्रेजी. क्योंकि आप इजीली इस गेम में 100-200 घंटे स्पेंड कर सकते हो. देखो यार, आई कैन कीप गोइंग ऑन एंड ऑन अबाउट हाउ ग्रेट दिस गेम सीरीज इज, बट आई वांट टू सेव सम ऑफ द फन फॉर यू गाइज टू एक्सपीरियंस इट. सो नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज, वेयर डू यू स्टार्ट विद दिस आइकॉनिक एंड ह्यूज सीरीज? एंड माई रिकमेंडेशन, मेरी पर्सनल रिकमेंडेशन ये है, यू स्टार्ट विद द फैंटम पेन. और अगर वो अच्छा लगे, देन गो विद मेटल गियर सॉलिड 3. एंड इफ योर पीसी कैन मैनेज टू रन द रीमेक, देन डेफिनेटली प्ले द रीमेक. But Metal Gear Solid 5 and Metal Gear Solid 3 are must plays. Not only for people who enjoy stealth games, but for people who enjoy video games in general, which I suspect most of you do, right? और अगर आप ये गेम्स स्टोरी वाइज खेलना चाहते हो, एंड दिस इज द बिगेस्ट टेस्ट टू चेक योर मेटल गियर नॉलेज, द सीरीज गोज Metal Gear Solid 3, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, Ground Zeroes, Phantom Pain, Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, and Metal Gear Solid 4. This is the series. I know I didn't talk much about Metal Gear Solid 4, Peace Walker, Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, and I'll be honest, क्योंकि मैंने वो गेम्स खेले नहीं है और मुझे सीरियसली ये वीडियो बनाने का बहुत मन था. So I was like, I'll just go around those games. यार लेकिन ये गेम्स छोड़ना मत. Because these aren't only great examples of good video games, but a testament to the human creative mind. मुझे ये गेम्स इतने इंस्पिरेशनल लगते हैं. ऐसे गेम्स कीप द क्रिएटिव इन मी अलाइव एंड इंस्पायर्ड, एंड आई होप मास्टरपीसेस लाइक दीज इंस्पायर द क्रिएटिव इन यू to take that big step and get your ideas out in the vast, crazy world that we seem to live in. And अगर आपको लगता है your ideas are not good enough, always remember, you're pretty good. That's a horrible impression.